The start of the Formula Continental race at the 2003 SCCA Runoffs was wild as cars fanned out for position. But heading into the S's, it was the 1999 and 2001 champion Mike Anderson out front. Several drivers had problems throughout the early stages of the race. On lap 8, a spin by Dave Stevens brought out a full course caution, setting up a potential battle between Anderson and Dave Weitzenoff, the 1992 and 98 champion. When the field retook the green, Anderson stayed out in front of Weitzenoff, and the bronze went to the number 35 of Charles Schaefer. For Anderson, it was his third national title in 5 years. Who will be on top of the podium this year? Formula Continental is up next on Speed. To say that Dave Weitzenoff is the man in Formula car racing, well, that might be an understatement. He's a 7-time champion, including 2 wins in Formula Continental. He's been bragging about this 10-year-old Citation chassis and looking to take into victory lane again this year. On the other hand, a much newer 2000 Van Diemen chassis, under the careful guidance of Chaz Schaefer, has already got 3 wins, and he's beat Dave this season as well. And then finally, on the other side here, Doug Niffen, racing out of New York, a couple of wins this season as well, making strides against breast cancer, carrying that on his car, as well as a desire to pick up a national championship here at Mid-Ohio. Now, for more on the same story, let's go to Mike Johnson.
Formula Continental has always been one of my favorite classes. This is where young guns get their start. Guys like Buddy Rice, Sam Hornish Jr., and Mimo Gidley all started in this class, have now moved on to better things. I'm here with 2 very experienced gentlemen in Russ Lindeman and Steve Four. Russ Lindeman was a 4-time divisional champion, a 5-time national winner this year. Also Steve Four, a 2-time Atlantic champion, national runoffs champion. These guys are going to give the young guys a fight for their money this year. I'm expecting a great competitive race.
The 41st running of the Sports Car Club of America's National Championship Runoff is upon us here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. For the 11th time, we visit this beautiful and historic and challenging racetrack to bring you Formula Continental Championship Racing. Gold, silver, and bronze medals will be handed out here under what has been virtually perfect conditions for racing throughout the entire week. And as we get ready to go to the competition, let's take a look at the layout here at Mid-Ohio.
I think the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course was designed for Formula Continental because this track is so much fun to drive in these cars. 13 turns, 2¼ miles. Top speed for these cars will be 132 miles an hour going down here into turn 4. But to be fast at this place, you have to set your car for 2 key corners. Turn 2, the keyhole, which leads you onto the long back straight, and then turn 12, the carousel, which will get you flat through 1 down into the main passing zone here, also in the keyhole.
That's the layout of the racetrack. We'll also give you a few clues about just exactly how these Formula Continental cars are put together.
Well, these are the second quickest of the Formula cars here racing in the runoffs. They're all tube-frame cars, 4-speed manual transmissions running with 2-liter Pinto motors.
And most of them are Van Diemen chassis, Citation chassis. There are a few others, but nevertheless, those are the basic components of this race class. Now we have 2 pit reporters to bring us up to speed on even more information. First, let's go to Biz. John Bizignano.
Well, Brian Tomasi gives great testimony to how bulletproof these 2-liter Ford engines are. This is the same motor that he was here last year with. He's on pole position, and he's run 6 nationals since then. I think a really special thanks has to go to the people who maintain his power plant, Elite Engines. Okay, about 4 cars back is my pit partner, Sandy Hang.
One of the fast cars we haven't talked about yet is starting in 4th position. It's car number 88 of Tim Miner. Now, I've got to tell you, he was a Southeast Division champion 2 years in a row. He's been here at the runoff 7 times. Best finishes 4th. He'd really like to get a podium. Guys?
All right, well, everyone can't win, even though we might wish that were the case. In any case, when we get set to go, 25 cars will take to the track. We'll point out and introduce most of them to you, and then we'll turn them loose. Welcome back to Mid-Ohio and the SCCA National Championship Runoffs on Speed. As the cars take to the racetrack, they all have butterflies flying, I'm sure, because this is a year-long preparation to come to an event that is a one-time championship. It's winner take all. 20 laps, you wear a gold medal for the remainder of the season until somebody else comes back and wins it from you the following year. So it's so important to most of these drivers and to the teams that prepare their cars. So as they roll out onto the racetrack, we'll take a look at each and every one of the names of the men who will be competing here today. And it is going to be a star-studded field. Mike Johnson, that starts with a man who's really pretty much had him covered here throughout practice and qualifying so far, Brian Tomasi.
Yeah, Brian Tomasi is the only person in this class to actually break the track record. In fact, he's actually under the track record that a lot of us set back in 1998 on this course.
So as he takes out the field to the racetrack, we'll take a look at the starting grid here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course that is filled with fans that have come to watch so big a variety of action here. Tomasi, Schaefer will be the front row. Weitzenoff and Miner will be the next row. We go back a little bit further. Miner, by the way, 4th in 02, and Tomasi was 3rd the same year. So those guys are going to be trying to move up into a championship position as we go to the second page. More talent back there, too.
Starting in 19th place is Michael Lenting. He just lives on the other side of the highway in Akron, Ohio. He just began his racing career this year. First time at the Runoffs. This is a very, very tough class to compete in. Just qualifying for this race is really a reward for itself.
And as we go to the final 5, the number 0, Mike Sauce, in a self-designed and self-built chassis called the Sauce SIC1. So he is probably more familiar with his race car than anyone else, but he will not be starting the race. We wanted to talk about him just a little bit anyway as the starter gets ready and gives them the signal that the next time around, if they're lined up to his satisfaction, we will go racing. So the lights are out in the pace car. We do have an onboard camera that we'll be able to show you throughout this competition, and it is on the number 58 of Chuck Lessig. He will start in 20th position, and that's the view you're going to get as he tries to put a little feeling back in his fingers there perhaps and work out some of the nerves and butterflies. So he'll be looking straight off the nose of that car.
Well, these cars are actually so stiff that your first couple laps, especially on the pace lap, the cars are so stiff they're just bouncing off the bumps, and sometimes get your hands in your butt will kind of go numb until you get into the speed where actually working the shocks and working the downforce where you're in the proper speeds of the car.
So he's wiggling his fingers around a little bit there, trying to get them ready to go as Chuck Lessig in the number 58 car, blue car with the green pods on it there, will be very easy to spot as we get out into the race. Now let's go back down to John Bizignano.
You know, Formula Continental is still considered a stepping stone into the pros. Anyone who wins here, and there's several young lions who would like to do well, can go to a pro team and say, hey, I won the Runoffs at Formula Continental, and that means something. It's really tough to get these cars right. They're very sophisticated, and anyone who comes out on top in this competition can drive a race car. Sandy Hang.
Well, there are 2 types of fuel that are allowed in this class, the av fuel and the super fuel. Just a survey of the pit grid before we started, there are 3 cars that are running av. That's going to be the number 3 car of Mark Deffer, 14 of Bill Jordan, and the 83 of Dave Stevens. Everyone else on the grid is running super fuel, guys.
So Mike Johnson, exactly what does that mean?
Well, there's basically the av fuel, which means is aviation fuel. You know, a lot of guys, you can run a nice leaded fuel. We got a little problem here. I don't know if someone's lost a gear or stalled it. These cars don't have onboard starter. These cars don't have onboard starters. So if you stall your car and your battery goes dead, there's no way to restart it. But if that was that car, that white and gold one, hopefully they got restarted going. But to get back to the fuel, av fuel is aviation fuel. Oh, yeah, he is stopped right there. That's a 93 car. So this is
Williams.
This could most likely delay our start here. They are still going. We have the yellow flags are out. Hopefully these corner workers who've been doing an outstanding job all weekend can get this car off, but he might be locked in gear. They're giving him a tug, and that's tough too because they're going uphill with that car. But to get back to the fuel again for the 3rd time, aviation fuel, it's airplane fuel. It's pretty cheap to get. You can go to your local airport and buy it. And the super fuel they're calling heavily oxidated. The main thing is the av fuel is maybe $3-4 a gallon. The super fuel that's a heavily oxidated fuel, $30 a gallon. So, you know, it's how badly do you win it? It's an extra 5 horsepower. You have to rejet the motor a little bit. But it's, you know, how badly do you want to win the Runoffs? Are you willing to spend that extra $30 a gallon? For a race like this, these guys will go through maybe 5-6 gallons. That's a few $100 worth of fuel.
On board once again with the number 58 of Chuck Lessig, and with that and a slight delay in the start procedure here, we're going to take another quick commercial break. But this time, when we come back, the green flag will fly.
Chuck Lessig knows what I've always believed, and that is driving on the public roads is much more dangerous than racing cars. Chuck, the bad luck began at the beginning of the season.
Yes, it did. We were on the way down to an outer division national in South Carolina, and the frame on our motor coach broke right in half. We had to buy a replacement coach to obviously even get home.
Well, that wasn't the worst part of the year.
No, it wasn't. The racing went well all year, but on a pleasure trip about 2 weeks ago on the way home, our motor coach, the new one, blew the right front tire. and slammed into an embankment. And thankfully, my family escaped without major injury, but the coach was totaled.
Well, Reagan has a very fast cast there. If you notice, it's the same colors as Daddy's race car.
Well, the trim on Dad's race car anyway, as Chuck Lessig just passed under the bridge. His first runoffs here, Sandy Hang.
Keep an eye on the number 84 car of Steve Flory, starting in 7th position. He actually has won twice in Formula Atlantic, so he's a former champion here at the Runoffs. He bought that car, this car that he's driving right now, from Mike Anderson. If you remember, Mike was last year's winner, so that's last year's winning car on the grid right now.
Getting ready to go green here. If, in the opinion of the starter, the field is set. We're on board with Chuck Lessig for the start. Everybody's standing on the gas. And they're all waiting for the wave of the green, and there it is. No wave off. We're going racing in Formula Continental here at the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. The big courage down into turn number 4, heavy and hard on the brakes. It looks like our pole sitter is going to take and keep the lead.
Yeah, that was a great start by Tomasi. Got a nice jump there. This is always the toughest part for these cars because they're the open wheels. You can actually get your wheels inside of the car next to you. And when you do that, sometimes these cars end up upside down or can run into each other. Makes it really tight. You can sometimes go 4 wide when there's really room for 3 if you're inside each other. So great start for this. I'm glad to see a nice green flag start.
Well, it's one thing to rub a fender on the other guy, but counter-rotating tires are never a good thing when they touch. As the field streams under our camera here and heads around the track for the finish of the first lap at speed. Understand that the first lap, which was really kind of under caution, so to speak, also counted for the 20-lap distance. We'll keep you posted on how that proceeds as they come by to finish the first lap at racing velocity.
Here they are. Cars are going into turn 1 right here. You can see this is the last race of the day today. So there's all types of marbles building up on the outside of the track into that very fast corner. That's the fastest corner on the track. They enter turn 1 at over 110 miles an hour, go through it at over 105 miles an hour, and pretty much full throttle the whole way through. Maybe just a hair of a lift, more of a confidence lift as they go into the turn, but their foot's right back on it because you know if you give up any bit in turn 1, the guy behind you will put the move on you going into the keyhole.
Mark Diefer running in 5th position right now on the first lap, looking to be patient if possible, but you know what, you've got to really walk a fine line between being aggressive early in the race so as not to get left behind, but patient enough to save your equipment and yourself in order to make a run towards the end. Here's a real nice 4-way battle going on in the middle of the field. Make it 5 actually. Nose to tail racing in Formula Continental is pretty much the way it goes. The number 21 car is Coelho there leading this group in the black automobile, and Nicky Coelho out of East Troy, Wisconsin, riding in a Van Diemen RF01.
Well, this is his first time at the Runoffs. He's a pretty well-respected go-karter, actually. And you can tell by looking at the nose on that car, it's got a high nose, almost like a Formula 1 style nose. That kind of tells you that it's actually a newer model. In the Pro Series that these cars run in, they all have to run that spec high nose. It's been developed over the last few years. Really, these cars, all the Van Diemens are based off the 1998 Van Diemen. In 1999, they strengthened the chassis a little bit, and there have been some updates to the bodywork, but really they're all almost identical cars. But you can tell that that other car that Coelho's running is newer with that high nose.
Oh, Tomasi continuing to lead this one over Chaz Schaefer. They were the front row starters, and everyone else running pretty much single file right now. Here's some side-by-side action and a brief touch of tires there as 2 cars going pretty close together. I believe that was Michael Lentini in the number 9 car. We'll have to get a quick check. And actually Silver in the 26. There we go.
Yeah, just made the pass on 4, who's the 2-time Atlantic champion we talked about at the beginning of the show. Here. We got another battle coming down into the... Oh, he's got a bent wing on the front of that car. It looked like the car going down in the corner. And here's that battle for 6th.
6th position, 4 in the 84 car. Silver in the number 26. Rick Silver out of Maryland. And...
right here through this part of the track, what they call madness, flat out. You just keep your foot to the wood. You're in first gear in turn 6. You just pull 2nd gear as you go through it, and you just keep your foot all the way down. That last corner right there going to madness, you get a little loose going over the top. It's a really fun corner, and you have to actually straighten the wheel as you go over the hill.
So the Formula Continental race just finishing the first 3 laps here as the battles are beginning to shape up. We'll see if we can't size up a few of them for you, and we'll come right back. Hi there. 4 laps complete here at the SCCA National Championship Runoff Formula Continental race. And the championship very much at issue here, with a lot of racing yet to go in what Mike Johnson has called a track designed for Formula Continental. We'll see how it works out here as the pole sitter, Brian Tomasi, continues to lead Chad Schaefer, and you're on board with the number 58, Chuck Lessick, who's making his Runoffs debut, and let's ride with it.
Here he is going down the back straight into turn 4, hard on the brakes, going from 4th gear to 2nd, a real quick corner. One of those corners you always think, I could have gone faster, down to 1st, on the concrete patch. They've regrouped him. That's why the speeds are quicker this year. Up the gas, down to 1st again. And here we go. This is going to be flat out. You go 1st gear, 2nd gear, and then through madness.
And let's listen to the sounds of speed. Remember, when you're riding on board, look way up the racetrack, right, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely, especially in these cars, because whatever's in front of you, you're going to be in it real quick.
Lessick continuing to roll as he heads up toward the keyhole right now, running in 19th position, made up a spot from his 20th place start.
This is a very hard trail braking corner. It's uphill. You can brake so late into that corner. Such a fun corner. Back to the leader here, Brian Tomasi. He was actually on the first day is when he set his qualifying time. He actually qualified for 3 days. You're here for a week, but you qualify on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. The quickest day of the week was Tuesday for this class. He was over a second quicker than the rest of the field on that first day, and I think he actually just took it easy for the last 2. Really kind of expected him to walk away from this.
Well, Tomasi now with about a 2 1/4 second lead as we look through the rest of the field. Here's Chad Schaefer running in 2nd position, and as Schaefer tries to make sure he can stay close enough, let's go to John Bisognano.
Well, Kevin Furline is the crew chief for who's going by right now, that beautiful 35 car. Let me ask you, Kevin, you've been on the radio to him. Are you just giving him the times? Is he losing ground? What's going on?
No, we're set up for the long race. It's 20 laps. We figure about halfway through, 3/4 way through, we'll start railing the back end.
You know, you got to remember, this car in the June sprints lost its whole left side. He has not raced since June. So he's got to be feeling his way a little bit out there.
You know, I don't know. I've driven these cars a lot. I've got a gazillion miles around this place in these things, and these cars don't fall off. I mean, you really have to do something wrong to make them to have a problem. All these cars also have cockpit adjustable sway bars, so the drivers can actually adjust the handling of the car throughout the race. As the fuel load goes away, as the tire goes away, you can say, oh, I got a little understeer. Maybe I'm going to soften the front bar. Maybe I'll stiffen the rear bar to adjust the car to continue the handling to go throughout the rest of the race. And you know, unless the leader Tomasi went with a really soft compound, which I know he did. He's on the Hoosier, I believe, R35. You know, it's going to be really tough to catch him.
Watching Dave Weitzenoff, 7-time national champion, 172 professional and SCCA national wins. That's a pretty impressive record for the driver of the number 67 car. Just behind him, it is Mark Deffer from Streetsboro, Ohio. Again, nearby in another Van Diemen chassis, qualified in 5th position, and he's running in 4th.
He's had 2 5th-place finishes in this race, so I know that he's really trying to get onto the podium.
Let's go down to Biz one more time as a caution flag is waving here at the start-finish line.
Now that's just a single yellow flag, so that means we're going to have a problem probably in turn. Oh, that's that car stopped. I think that's the car that was stopped at the beginning of the race, the 93 car.
Yeah, Browning Williams got back out there in the race. They must have been able to get him started, but now he has stalled out again. You can see the heat rising off the car, and he's in a very bad position and obviously feels badly about it as well.
Well, he's just parked right there on the front straight towards the inside. You can see the cars coming out. Now, right now you have a tow truck going out there to go and rescue him.
A nice battle here, nose to tail, as we look at another car off the track. And there's Forer off the racetrack, the number 84, Steve Forer, who we spoke about at the beginning of this one, a 2-time Formula Atlantic national champion, will not add a Formula Continental title to his credentials. He does get the car refired and moving again.
Yeah, that looks like turn 1. No, in the keyhole. Oh, he's around the outside. He's probably going to get tapped right here. Boom, yep. That's that open wheel I was talking about earlier. The open wheel, you try to slide yourself into that turn, and you feel like you're there. In fact, when you're driving, you feel like you can go out and touch the guy next to you. But if those wheels come together front to back, flip them over, and these are very light suspensions, and that's just going to probably just broke the suspension.
They're going to take the 93 car away with a tow strap right now. Again, a local yellow at the start-finish line as the cars stream around the outside. The flagman is just making sure that they know there is an immobile object, and of course the drivers can see it pretty quickly. Here is another battle, and I believe this is, let's see, the numbers. That's the number 62. That's Kiefaber, and I think he is leading a group.
I see the 6 car. That's Lindemann. We met with him at the beginning. That's Jordan, Coelho, and Lindemann.
Okay, so it is, I believe, in 21st position back there. It's tough to pick up the numbers on these small cars. They're so aerodynamic, they don't leave a lot of space to roll the numbers out there. So it is the number 62 ahead there. It is Robert Kiefaber from Manfield, Texas. And the attrition continues here as they roll the 84 car back. We'll be back.
Take a look at the 13 car. Looks like an average race car. Nice looking scallops. But look closely at the side pods. There are dozens of signatures from people all over. People who've made donations to the Making Strides program. It's a breast cancer awareness program that driver Doug Niffen decided he wanted to help sponsor and support. What gave you the idea to help in this way?
Well, my mother was touched by the disease and is, what they call a survivor, and we were doing a program where the breast cancer people were trying to raise funds for their program, and so we decided we wanted to put more of an effort in, and so we put my family to work, calling people we know, and got the donations, and we're letting them ride into the record books with us.
And so far, they've raised more than $6,000.
Well, in a sport where spending money is usually the order of the day, it's nice to know that raising money is a part of the issue as well. As we take a look at Niffen there, the number 13 car, just behind the 88 of Tim Miner out of Falls Church, Virginia. And these two are having their own nice little race, racing into the record books. We're not sure how high up the standings they're going to climb, but they're having some fun, no doubt about that.
Absolutely, everyone. I mean, this class is they're such fun cars to drive. They're so quick, they're so nimble. They do everything a race car is designed to do. They're quick, they're fast, they brake well. These cars are carrying maybe 2.4, 2.5 Gs through some of the high-speed corners.
And just out of the corner of our eye, another battle going on just behind them for 8th and 9th. That is the number 70 of Thomas Fader out of New York. And we got a couple of cars off the racetrack, including the number 14, William Jordan, and the 16 car of Russ Lindemann off the racetrack, both getting it back in gear and moving again. But we've got some nice little battles shaping up around the track, all inside the top 10. And there is the 16 car of Lindemann out of Longmont, Colorado. He gets going again.
Those tires, they get so hot running around the track, maybe 180, 190 degrees. You can see when he actually was stuck in the grass trying to pull off. The tires were just, all the dead grass was stuck to the tires. It's going to take him maybe a half a lap to get that grass off. Well, this happened pretty early in the course. This is a late shot, obviously. This happened very early going into the last turn, turn 4, probably under the brakes, a late move. Again, these cars, you feel because the wheels aren't really attached to you, you don't have a body, you can get a lot closer to the car. So you stick your wheels inside of them, and then the suspension is just really thin metal, and it's so easy to bend.
While the cars look fairly fragile, they will take a shot every once in a while like that. Although the 14 car is going to come in, he's got fuel or something.
No, that's what that. You got the radiator right there, and that's just the top of the coolant. Yeah, you got radiators in each side of the car, and that's just one of the pipes is just broken right off, and that's a terminal deal. You can't actually put water back into the car. Once you lose water, you're done, because if you try to put water in it, it boils and comes right out. Yeah, he knows the story. He's getting out.
Well, and the look of frustration as well on his face as Bill Jordan climbs out of that number 14 car.
Don't touch it. It's hot stuff, man. Those gloves might protect you from fire for about 4 seconds, but they're not good on hot water.
Jordan climbs out of his car. The crew, the disappointment of preparing all season long for the runoffs here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. And as they say, the thrill of victory is often matched by the agony of defeat. In this case, defeat by mechanical problems caused in an incident.
Yeah, you can see the construction in that side pod, the honeycomb, which makes these cars actually pretty safe when they are in impacts, but not very strong if someone sticks a wheel on you. Back to the 31 car and the 70 car again.
Now the 31 is Brian Velarde, and Velarde is running pretty well there. He's got a nice little battle going in 8th spot. We're talking about him. He has passed for position on the number 70, I believe, behind him now, Thomas Fader out of New York. And there are 3 cars together, but let's go to Sandy Hang, who's with the one who just dropped out.
I'm with Bill Jordan. He just got his helmet off. What happened out there?
I just turned in at 7 and somebody took me out. So I don't know who it was. Some of the guys behind me.
All the damage caused by
used me as a turn-in point. So, but that's it. The radiator's gone, so we're done for the day.
Not a fun one.
Nah, not a fun one.
Not exactly the way he wanted to end his runoffs, guys, with an incident.
And it was the 16 of Lindemann that was with him. Lindemann has returned to the track.
You know, this race is a winner takes all. It's everything. And when you're out, it doesn't matter who hits you. You know, there's nothing you can do. The race is over. You're packing up your truck. You're going home. You know, I've been in a similar situation. You can go and fight, and where's the guy, and I'm going to kick his butt, and whatever you want to do. You know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who hits you. You're broken. You're done. The race is over.
That's a pretty good way to look at it. And as we look at the battle going on right here, this is the 88, I believe, of Tim Miner involved in this one. Yes, he's leading the little parade along with the 31 car that we mentioned a moment ago. Brian Velarde out of Grafton, Wisconsin, in a Van Diemen 98 chassis. Liberty Motorsports sponsorship on him as they come up the front straightaway. Bringing up the tail end is Thomas Fader. And nice 3-way battle going here for positions 7, 8, and 9. So as they try to race their way toward the front, we'll take a pause in the action right now. You come back with at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, mostly footprints in the gravel trap up at the end of the keyhole there, but there have been a few incidents as we continue to watch this 7th, 8th, and 9th place nose-to-tail pass here as Miner, Velarde, and Fader were in that order a moment ago, but we did have a pass for position here as these 3 guys continue. We'll go back out here, and the sun is another issue right now as it starts to get lower in the horizon. There are certain parts of the racetrack it has not only gotten lower, but it's come out. It was cloud cover most of the day.
Well, and these guys, there's 24 classes running this weekend, and you only get 1 session. Oh, hang on.
Somebody's in the gravel trap.
The gravel trap. That actually.
That's the 6 car.
I see a 6 on the back. I don't know if that's the only 6. He's missing a rear wing, front wing. Rocky Mountain Tire and Auto.
Yep, Charles Thompson there, I do believe, is the one. And no, it's 16. Okay, good correction. That's Lindemann, who was involved in the earlier shot. Maybe some damage to his car that he didn't realize was going on. And as it went away from him, he ends up out in the gravel again.
Yeah, hard to tell where he is. We'll get a quick replay of it right now. He's going down down the back straight. Oh yeah, the suspension's broken early. You can see it right there. The wheel's already done, and just a light tap in the nose. And you're sitting there spinning around, and you're thinking, okay, there goes the nose. There's $3,000. There goes the wing. There's $3,000. And you're just kind of adding it up. 3, 6, 8. There's $7,000 before you come to a stop.
Cha-ching, cha-ching.
Cha-ching, cha-ching. That's right.
No cost for the driver, though. He's up and okay. Russ Lindemann in the welcoming arms of the corner workers who do such a great job here. That just the legions of men and women that come to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course for the runoffs, dress in those snappy white outfits and take care of the racers and their needs all weekend long. It's really a tremendous effort that they make, and we applaud them for it.
So brave, these guys. Couldn't do it without them. Here we are coming out of the carousel onto the front straight. Again, one of the most important corners on the track. These cars inherently have a lot of understeer. You can see the front tires not necessarily as big as the rear tires. They don't have a lot of grip up there. If you don't have the car working for you coming out of that last corner, and if it doesn't work for this corner going up to the keyhole, you're never going to be fast here. All the other stuff is pretty straightforward. Left, right, full throttle, hit the brakes. But if the car doesn't work in these very difficult 180-degree turns, you just won't be fast.
And the 24 car we're watching there is Frank Velarde out of Chester, New York, in another Van Diemen, a Graphic Speed sponsored car. He's going after it with the 62 of Robert Kiefaber.
That's Wheatsonoff. What happened? Are they lapping the field already?
Yes, they are.
Did he fall back?
Yes, Wheatsonoff in 3rd position is going around this group. And so the leaders are in traffic right now. We should remind you, in case you're not watching across the top of the screen there, for all the positions, that Tomasi, the pole sitter, has pretty much run away with this one with a 4-second lead over Chaz Schaefer. And then the number 67, Dave Wheatsonoff, is just lapping this group that we were watching here in the 17th battle side by side. And the number 70, Thomas Fader, goes by, makes a nice move.
Yeah, nice perfect pass. That's how you do it. There's really only 2 really good places to pass here, and one of them going into the back straight. You know, perfect pass, come out of the keyhole, car's working very well for him, make the pass, go on to the next one.
Long shadows in the low sun, you can see there as he did make the pass on Tim Miner and is heading off into the sunset, and that's not figuratively speaking either. There are your leaders and the gaps that they hold right now. Schaefer 4 seconds behind Tomasi, and Weizenhoff another 4 seconds back in third.
I don't think that 4 seconds is really, you know, showing how dominant Tomasi has been this weekend. I mean, his fast lap has been more than a half second quicker than Schaefer's fast lap. And right now they're slowing down to maybe 1 to 2 seconds slower than they've been all weekend.
Now fix this image in your mind. That is the leading race car, and the man driving it is number 96, Brian Tomasi from Elgin, Illinois. We'll be back. Hi, Rusty. The start of the race, and this is a recap for those of you just joining us, involved the front row. The two that were up there were Brian Tomasi and Chaz Schaefer. Tomasi came out of turn number 4 with the lead. We had a caution on the very first lap of the race before it even started for this very same race car, the number 93 Browning Williams, who eventually rolled to a halt on the start-finish line. Then a much more serious incident that didn't really involve a whole lot of injury other than to the Pride and to the sheet metal, a 4. And then the 16 and the 14 cars got together. William Jordan and Russell Lindemann, both of whom were eventually out of the race. The first of them was Bill Jordan, whose car you're looking at right here. Lindemann eventually retired in this incident all by himself. Obviously, the left front suspension on his car was broken, and it took a while to evidence itself and make it a terminal situation for him. There is your leader, Brian Tomasi, in the number 96 car. He is 4 laps from finishing, 4 laps from a gold medal, and barring any difficulty, it looks as though he will gather up a gold medal here for his efforts this weekend. Let's go down to Sandy Hang.
I'm with Tony Tomasi right now. How are Brian's times?
Brian right now is staying in the 24s and 25s. And we're just kind of staying in front of the other guy by what we need to be, 3.5, 4 seconds.
You got to be nervous. Are you nervous for your son, Brian? How do you feel when you're watching this?
Well, I am nervous as much as Brian's nervous. But we've been working for this all summer, and he's finally there, so we just hope he can go all the rest of the way here.
That's Tony Tomasi, Brian's dad, clocking the times here on the front stretch.
And just a reminder, his best runoffs finish was 3rd. He's going to improve on that substantially here with the only medal that anyone comes here to get, and that would be the gold for first place. The 04 Central Division champion picked up 4 wins on his way to the runoffs, but this is the big one. And John Bizignano, what do you think?
Well, one thing I think is that Weizenhoff is doing one terrific job. Just before the start of this race, I said, how long are you going to keep this chassis? It was built in 1994 by a group in Indianapolis. 22 out of the 25 cars out there are Van Diemen's. His answer to me was, I will keep it as long as it's still competitive. Well, he hasn't won a championship since '98. Maybe he'll be looking at the Van Diemen showroom here soon. But Mike, can you imagine doing this well in a 10-year-old car in this competitive of a class?
Dave Weizenhoff's a very smart guy, and he's one of the few guys that actually works on his car all the time. I tried to go down to his garage earlier this weekend and just wanted to talk to him, say, hey, how's the race going? I think he had the mob kind of standing out front, wouldn't let me in because he was jetting the motor that minute. He didn't want me to see what jets he has. He's always developing that car and always working on it. He works very closely with the guys at ICP and just to continually develop that car. So it might be old, but it's definitely not. You know, he just keeps working on it all the time to keep it as quick and competitive.
And Tomasi leads. Schaefer is actually closing ground. We heard Tomasi's dad, Brian, say they're staying in front by what they need to. Well, maybe Schaefer has other ideas. We'll see. The leader is Brian Tomasi. And he is out in front by just over 2 seconds now. Chaz Schaefer has cut the lead in half. There are only 2 laps to go. And it's difficult to say with any conviction that Schaefer can close the rest of the gap, but he sure has done a pretty good job in the last few laps.
Yeah, he definitely has closed the gap quite a bit. And I don't know, Tomasi has been dealing with some traffic, of course, as they're starting to lap the back of the pack.
And here we go a little bit deeper in the field as the 2 car of Phil Hamas goes after it with the 83 there of David Stevens. So these two battling for positions 11 and 12, substantially behind the leader, but no less exciting for them, perhaps even more so.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're definitely having a lot of fun, and You know, a lot of guys that come to this race, some guys come to this race to win. I have to win, I have to win. Tomasi said, I'm going to this race to win. If I don't win, I'm not accepting anything else. These two guys said, hey, you know what? I'm going for a good finish. If I could just break into the top 10, it would be amazing. And that's really what they're fighting for right now.
Well, and if Brian Tomasi should come to victory lane, that would put him in a very elite class of Triple Crown winners. So as these two, and Hamas goes off the course. That was a pretty easy pass for the number 83. David Stevens probably won't get a gift like that at the runoffs anytime soon.
Sometimes you just got to show the guy that you're going to take it. Maybe the 2-car looked in the mirror and said, uh-oh, he's coming. I'm going to get out of his way. I'll just take it through the grass right here and make it real easy for him.
Okay. Well, Phil Hamas from Lenexa, Kansas, in his Vitelegraph-sponsored Van Diemen 99 chassis, has gathered it back up again, and we're on the final lap here for the leader. The leader has taken the white flag. The next one he'll see is the checker. Here is the 83 of David Stevens, who just took that position and moved up to 11th spot.
You know, this race is so tough, and you have to sit here and think, you know, what am I going to do to get my car set up for different things? And Tomasi in some traffic now. This bit is flat out and very difficult to pass on. You cannot pass through here unless they kind of let you go through. And be careful, they could close the door. Whoa, that was close. Tomasi doesn't need to take that advantage. That's an old Tatis chassis right there. And, you know, which was a very quick chassis. Guys like Robbie McGee and Ryan Hampton used to drive and win in those races, but that you don't want to do that on the last lap. His father right there. We're probably glad he didn't have a TV monitor to see it.
Well, the leader is coming up behind Lesick, who is carrying our onboard camera, and he's going to follow him across the finish line. So we would have had a nice shot from the onboard of Lesick, but instead we get a shot of Dad congratulating his son Brian Tomasi for a victory in the 2004 SCCA Championship Formula Continental race. And
well, Lesick's got to be careful here because Tomasi was behind him when they crossed the checkered flag. So Lesick has not completed this lap here, even though Tomasi's running away with it.
That's right. Dave Lesick still has a lap to go. Brian Tomasi's going to keep racing as well, it looks like, just to make sure he stays clear of everybody. Either that or he's just having so much fun, he doesn't want to lift.
Well, finishing 4th last year and a win this year, you know he's just ecstatic in there. And this is such a tough class to win, and to do it, you know, it's just great.
Now he knows that he is the champion, and he's telling everybody that he is #1. Let's go to Sandy Hang.
I'm with his dad, Tony Tomasi. You've got to be proud. This is really an incredible moment for you and for your son. He's talking to him on the radio right now. You know, before we came to the interview, his dad was saying the Triple Crown means so much, such an elite group. First they won the June sprints, then their division, Central Division, and now he's got it. What was he saying to you there on the radio? What was Brian saying to you?
He can't believe it either, but he's still racing. He's still racing right now.
He just doesn't want to give it up, does he? He's still running fast, and here he comes by again. They just overcome with emotion. You guys, you got to understand when someone like Tony and his dad Brian work all summer to put this together. Now tell us your thoughts.
Well, Brian's been racing since '91, and he wrecked a lot of cars, but he's got it all together now. He's one of the top guys, and he's getting older, and I think he missed his ride, but he's my driver, you know.
And he's the Runoffs champion driver and a Triple Crown winner. This is an achievement, guys. You know, you can't help but choke up over this because so few drivers actually achieve this.
Well, we're pretty certain that a release of emotion is forthcoming when son Brian comes to join Dad Tony as a Triple Crown winner and a gold medalist in Formula Continental.
Take a look at some of the motivation here at the Runoffs. This is the Mark Donahue Award. Right next to it, the Kimberly Cup for the most improved driver. Then the Rookie of the Year Award, followed by the President's Cup, the Fire Safety Cup, and in the middle, the coveted Triple Crown for a winner who's got to achieve this all in 1 year. Division Points Champion, June Sprints Champion, and a National Championship.
And we have just crowned one. He is sitting in the number 96 car right now. The smile's starting to break out, and of course Sandy Hang is right there with him.
I'm with Brian at this moment in time. You know, this is just a phenomenal deal. We don't see this very often, a Triple Crown winner and a Runoffs champion here.
Yeah, I'm just so proud of all my crew, my dad, my wife, my sponsors, Hoosier Tire, RMX, Subway, Nova Communications. It's just been a great race.
Your dad is so proud of you. We were standing along pit lane with him. He was cheering you on, taking your times. He was trying not to get too excited, but it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, we've been working at this for a while, and it's our 3rd year here, and we finally won it. That's it.
What were you thinking riding around out there? It seemed like you made it look easy, but you know that bobble at the end too. Were you just losing your concentration, or you were so excited?
Well, I mean, I was so excited. I mean, we ran 1 extra lap because I didn't know the race was over. I mean, it was just unbelievable. So it's just fabulous, fabulous.
Congratulations again, the winner of the Runoffs here in this division, Brian Tomasi, well deserved. Let's go down to my colleague John Bizignano. Biz.
Dave, in second place, you said this was a lot of work. You're sweating like crazy. You were very tired and very glad to get in the pit lane.
Well, I'm not tired, but it was a lot of work. I think my rear tires kind of wore out, and of course I kind of slide this car around. That's the way it's the fastest, and all during the race I was dialing more sway bar to the front and less to the rear and keeping it under control, but I think I wore my rears out.
Well, they definitely look worn to me, but you said you've been in this car 10 years. The whole car could be worn out, and you're still finishing on the podium. How does that happen?
Well, I don't know. I guess old guys don't wear out too fast yet.
What do you think about Van Diemen's? Are you going to go to the showroom? Are they going to build you a new car in Indianapolis?
No, I think we just needed to get tuned into this new tire that Goodyear brought out, and this is the first race I've had on it.
He still feels that there's plenty of time to be found in his great old chassis right here. Another podium for you. Congratulations, David.
We'll take a look at the results here. Our congratulations to Dave Weitzenoff, who managed to pull off a last lap move from 3rd to 2nd because Chaz Schaefer had a problem. He had closed the gap to the leader down to just over 2 seconds, and we thought we might have a race in the closing laps with the traffic. And here they are. You can see Tomasi started from the pole and honors the Triple Crown with a flag-to-flag victory here over Weitzenoff, Depper, Silver, and Chaz Schaefer, who finished 5th. Doug Niffen doing the job for breast cancer there, finishing in 6th spot. Tim Miner rounding out the top 10 after he had a nice battle going there that involved various drivers along the way. Velarde, Fatter, and Coelho, they had a good little tussle going as well. So these guys are all going to have to be very proud of their finishes here at the SCCA Championship Runoffs in Formula Continental.
Happy to see my buddy Scott Dick have a great run today from 21st to 17th. He had a little trouble early in the weekend. I never got a chance to say hey to him, but I did see his car coming off the hook after one of the qualifying sessions. So he's a great guy. He's actually got a helicopter and lives in Cincinnati. He flies back and forth in his helicopter every day.
And Chuck Lessick carrying our onboard camera, and his Runoffs debut went from 20th to 15th position. Let's go back downstairs to John Bizignano.
Schaefer, your last 4 laps were consistently fast. The second to the last lap was the fastest lap you turned all weekend long, and then you were going backwards to the grass. What happened?
Well, we caught some lap traffic back over Madness coming down the back straightaway, and I just decided, you know, I'm not here to finish second, and so I stood on it, and there was a little bit of grass just on the inside of the turn. I went over it, and it was enough to spin me around, and that was it. And I probably still could have finished second, but I didn't realize I hit the ignition switch and shut it off and couldn't get the car restarted. Once I realized I hit the switch with my hand, I flipped it back on and drove it on around for, I guess, 5th.
Do you think that you let him get too far ahead? There was a 5-second gap there. That's a lot to make up.
He got a great start, and surprisingly, it took a little while for my car to come in. Once it came in, I could keep pace with him, but I wasn't really making any gains on him until the end. I think his tires may have dropped off a little bit. I think maybe he might have backed off a little bit. We were closing on him pretty good there at the end. But
great run, Chaz.
Thank you.
Terrific. Nigel Mansell switched off his car, Canadian Grand Prix in the lead. Sandy Hagen.
I'm with Doug Niffen. His mother was here watching from the hill. She was able to see you run from 8th to bring it up to 6th. Great race, and great race for your mother, a breast cancer survivor.
Yeah, it was a great event, and we raised a lot of money for breast cancer research in the Making Strides program, and I was just so happy to do it with my mom here to see it.
Let's talk a little bit about the race. That was a tough one.
It was a tough one. You know, the start's always real rough. A lot of 2x2 going through a tough section of course, and then it filed out, and we were just killing each other for the whole race, and it was a lot of fun and worked out well.
Well, congratulations, Doug. Great finish for you, and thank you for doing what you did to raise money for breast cancer research. Back to you guys.
All right, well, we had a pretty interesting start. Even before the race started, a stalled car that eventually rode off the course, David Stevens. Then we did get a green flag start, and that's when the fun began, Mike Johnson. It really had some interesting images.
Yeah, pretty good race. You know, neat to see those Hoosier tires in a lot of races we've seen this weekend seem to come on very strong right at the beginning. You know, the Goodyear's just, they're a great tire, but they don't have those first 2 laps.
So as the checkered flag flew and Tony Tomasi celebrated the win by his son Brian and the Triple Crown as well, we congratulate him too. For John Bizignano and Sandy Hang and Mike Johnson, I'm Brian Drebber, thanking you for joining us most of all.